Hey everyone, thanks for joining us again for another weekly market review for F45 trading. This week is already a new month, Monday, March 2nd to Friday, March 6th. Going to be an interesting week. Lots and lots of high impact news events going on. I'll bring that up here right now so we can just discuss that quickly. Going into Monday, we've got lots of US dollar news with ISM manufacturing. I shouldn't say lots of news, I should say lots of Australian dollar news. Starts off with US dollar news, high impact at 10 o'clock a.m. Australian news, banking approvals, cash rate, and rate statements. So the Australian dollar is going to see a bit of a market volatility happening going into the end of trading tomorrow. So just be careful of that one. And if you'll notice, Australian dollar has been tanking lately, so they could be using that as an excuse to maybe run price up a little bit higher. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But going into Tuesday, we have Bank of England Governor Carney speaking, some medium impact news event for Euro, and more high impact news event for the Australian dollar. We have US dollar, Canadian dollar, and more US dollar, ADP and ISM manufacturing on Wednesday, so going to be a pretty high impact day on Wednesday. Thursday, all red, OPEC, Governor Carney, Governor Poles is speaking in for the Canadian Central Bank, and Australian dollar retail sales. And then Friday, Canadian, US, because it is first week of the month, and NFP, non-farm payroll, is out on Friday. So what does that mean? All the best trades of the week are going to be starting Sunday and ending Wednesday. So if typically what ends up happening is Thursday, right before NFP, you see market going into consolidation. Now, it may not with Carney and Poles speaking, and OPEC, the market in oil is going to be going a little bit crazy. I'll talk about that as well too in a minute, but just keep these guys in mind. But typically markets will tend to trade sideways for the day right before NFP, and then NFP, obviously, all the fireworks happen. So that's what's on the economic front. Just be careful, guys. There's lots of landmines out there, so make sure you consult the Forex factory economic calendar on a regular basis this week. So jumping into the markets. We had a big slide on US dollar right after we finally ran these highs here and up to that 99.80 level that I mentioned to you guys. Basically just closed in a weekly imbalance and looking for a shot up to over 100. I believe this high rate here at 99.80 that it just made, it's not going to remain intact. I believe we'll probably see price shoot higher, and we'll get up into the hundreds here in the next little while. NFP coming in, though, typically will create the lows of the month, and so or the highs, I should say. So we're going to come into that this week here. So I would anticipate a little more downside on US dollar, but just depending on how this week wants to pan out. I don't necessarily think we need to go all the way down to 97.15. I've got it on the chart here as a major level. As you can see, we've got a couple of equal lows under here. If price really wants to start tanking, I'll be looking for that level there and potentially price to rebalance underneath this low at high 96s. But I think what we're probably going to see, we'll probably see price stab down a little bit lower here going into the week. Before that, what we could see is a bit of a retracement. Now, price came down pretty heavy the past week and a half or so with one brief, and I'll just zoom in a little bit here, one brief little up candle right here. That was about all we got for a retracement, apart from this guy in here, but price really started to fall off. Again, I am thinking price is going to go lower. However, look at what we've seen here over the past. Obviously, we are in a very, very big uptrend on US dollar, and there's another little trend line right here, which they're going to break through. As you can see, they've done that there. We'll probably see price fall off a little bit more. But before it does, what I'd like to see is something a little bit kind of like this. I don't know if they'll get above these candles in here, but I certainly think we're going to retrade back up to the Thursday low. So at the time of this video, it is now Sunday. Actually, excuse me, it is early Monday morning. It is now just a little past midnight New York time. So again, market has opened for the US dollar on the week, and we're just kind of sitting at a doji right now. But again, I'd like to see price retrace at least back up into the lows, maybe even a bit higher, getting back into this big down Thursday candle here. And then what I'd like to see is price fall off again. Now, this is again where I want to see what price does. How much momentum does it have to the downside? Will it get down in through this consolidation level in here? And just keep in mind here, folks, we're right back in this. Look how many times prices come in and changed course corrections in this time period in here. So this is a very, very sensitive area between the 97.75 level and 97, well, basically 9,700 level. And, you know, you go back in time, again, look how much time prices, and I'll just drag this out. So we're coming into this again. Look how many times prices reverse direction right in this area here. So, again, what I'm looking for is a little bit higher to start out the week and then price to drop down in, and I'd like to see them come underneath here, maybe about the middle of this range, and we'll see if they have any momentum. Maybe they want to get below 97.15. But I think ultimately we're going to see the lows somewhere in here. We may want to, and this is a possibility, but if you take a fib from the low to the high on this price structure here, you can see here we're about that 50% retracement level. So we're kind of getting into a more discounted price on what we were currently at. Typically, price tends to look, if the trend is going to continue higher, at reversing around the 50% to 72 to 79% retracement levels. So I'd be at least looking for this to come down to the 62, if not 72%. Again, that 97.15 level there. And then we'll see what it wants to do from there. But I think we're probably going to see new highs coming again here pretty soon. I know there is obviously the coronavirus out there and everything else under the sun that's trying to affect price, but it is an election year for the US dollar, so they want to keep prices high, they want to keep the stock market high and everything else. A little bit of a course correction this past week, obviously on the S&P and some of the indices, but I definitely don't think those things have hit their highs by any stretch of the imagination yet. So anyway, on we go. EurUsd, same price action. This one here, pardon me, actually had a little bit deeper of a move higher than what the US dollar did. US dollar, you can kind of see we're just sort of crouching into the highs of this pivot rate here, whereas EurUsd, same pivot, but obviously reverse. We're well into this pivot rate here. So this is kind of what tells me, what kind of leads me to believe, thinking that they want to take this a little bit higher. Now, going into this week, I'd really like to see price come down into here, slam back down into Thursday's high, this candle here, and then reject and go higher. We'll have to see how it goes, though. If we lose Thursday's candle, just keep in mind price could want to go all the way back down to 10900 on EurUsd. So we'll be watching this area in here, of course, if we lose this level in here. But I think there's a good chance we're going to see this bounce and probably go higher, at least taking out this high, short-term high rate there. Now going forward, obviously we've got lots of levels up here to watch for. We've got a couple of equal highs above here, and a little shelf rate up here that I want to watch, because I believe price could be drawn up to here. If we get a deep, deep, deep retracement on the US dollar, of course, it should send EurUsd up there. But really, again, we're going to see here coming into this week here what we want to do. Again, non-farm could be the catalyst that switches course direction and we see continued lows, because we do have another little area. Now, last week here, again, we mentioned we hit another big milestone on EurUsd in addition to US dollar. I think we could see a little more downside. 107.20 on the downside could be targeted. I'm going to be watching for that. Do they get lower than that? You know, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. This thing's been sliding quite a bit here. So it definitely is due for a course correction and a return back to an upside projection swing, but we have to obviously hit some milestones first. Milestone number 1 was definitely hit last week, and now milestone number 2 I believe could get tagged in maybe later this week as well too. So we're watching that maybe even into next week. So anyway, going forward, like I say, downside and then a little bit more upside. If we break this low here, then we could trade all the way back down to 10900 and possibly even lower if this thing has reached a high. Now, the other thing I want to point out to you guys is price definitely is hitting the mid-range of this sort of upswing right in here. Now, this is a very, very important upswing, of course. You can see that about the 50% level. So if we don't see price willing to go above this area and close above this on the daily, then it may not do it, folks, and we could see another return to the downside. So this could be a big, deep move to the downside, very shallow retracement, and then another move down. So this is sort of the area that I'll be watching this week, okay? GbpUsd, we had a major area cleaned out on the downside, which is what I predicted. Again, I was looking for two sides. So GbpUsd really has been trading in the middle of the range, and I was looking at an area above all of these highs right up in here. And then, of course, on the 4-hour, you can see that there's a 4-hour gap to start the week this was of actually February. They still haven't closed that gap in. That's at 131.90 to 13200. Closed the downside quite convincingly. Now I believe it doesn't have a choice but to go up. And I think we're probably going to see higher prices on GbpUsd. But what has to happen before that comes into play is price needs to make a significant move to the upside. If we start trading back into these levels, and let me just clear some of this stuff up in here because this is no longer, we don't need this any longer in here. But if we start trading back above this level right here, I'm just going to drag this guy out. And I'm going to borrow this and bring that right there. 129, call it 30 to the upside. Nice round number. If we start trading above 129.30, then I believe you can easily set your targets to this area right here at 130.80 up to 131.90. But we got to get above this level here. There certainly could be some more downside coming into GbpUsd, and really we're going to see what's going to happen here very, very shortly. Could this be a breakout retest and then a continuation lower? So something, you know, of course, break out of this consolidation to the downside, run back up to these levels, to these old lows, retest it, and then fall lower. This pattern could absolutely play out. However, I just want to show something to you with EuroGBP. Now, this was the level on EuroGBP that I had been talking about for a while. We obviously consolidated in here a little bit, and then we dropped down. I actually thought on this run here we were going to see the move higher, but we continued down, you know, about 4 more days, and then it just kind of chopped sideways while it was pushing EuroUSD around, and then we saw the big release. Now, this release higher obviously contributed to the downside momentum in GbpUSD. So now this has been fulfilled. This area right in here has been cleaned up. They've picked up all the buy stops above the market. Where do they go from here? Well, if you look on the grand scheme of things here, we had price come down once, failed to go lower down here, and a big run back up. They could be coming and slamming this thing down one more time. So if we get that move to the downside on EuroGBP, and I want you guys to watch EuroGBP quite astutely this week, because this is going to be the test. If we start running back down into this candle, this big up candle here, and we start running back down and get below this red line that I have on the chart right here, if we start trading back below that, I believe there's a very strong possibility that we're going to start shooting higher on GbpUsd. Okay, so just watch for that. If we don't, now again, and I'll just let you know, if we stay above this red line, we're going to trade up into here and get back up into here, in which case you can target lower prices on GbpUsD. Okay, but that's a big if. We'll see what happens. Sort of a, like I say, a breakout retest and then a continuation lower. You can easily target underneath this low here if it does go below that. Okay, so but just keep your eye on EuroGBP, because this is what's going to tell you what's going to happen. UsCad had a big breakout date. So the UsCad is uncorrelated from what the US dollar is doing. It completed a very, very significant range in here, just out of the blue. As US dollar was falling off, UsCad was skyrocketing. And this is attributed to oil, of course. Unless you've been living under a rock lately, you've noticed oil has been taking a very, very big slide. If oil goes down, USCAD goes up typically. So that's why we see the big run in USCAD. Cleared out all the stops right here. Major level up in here hit, and a big rejection so far. So I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. Again, very similar as to GbpUsd, but I'm watching this level right here. I want to see what happens. I got to take off the data dividers. I want to see what happens when if price wants to get below this red line. If we can get below this red line, I believe we can target all the way down here for the rest of the month. 130.70, I believe, is going to come into play. And if we fail to get below this red line, I think we're probably going to go higher. Okay, so it's really that simple. Just watch this level right here. We're pretty much slamming down into it pretty close right now. And that'll tell you what's doing. But again, I typically don't want to be trading, so I'm just going to let you guys know this. If a market is uncorrelated from the US dollar, so I trade all the major US dollar pairs. Okay, I use the US dollar to give me a barometer as what the rest of the pairs are going to do that has a US in the same basket, US dollar in the same basket. If a pair is uncorrelated, it's not doing what it should be doing, because usually they'll run in tandem. So EurUsd, GbpUsd, they'll do the exact opposite of what the US dollar does. UsCAD should do exactly the same thing as what the dollar is doing. US dollar goes up, UsCAD should go up. US dollar down, UsCAD down. This pair you can clearly see is doing something completely different than what the US dollar is doing. That's not high probability situations, and typically I will not trade those. So just keep that in mind, folks, on this target down here and these targets up here. This is totally hypothetical, because the UsCAD is definitely not trading with what the US dollar is doing, and I definitely don't trust it. So if you do end up trading this, I would certainly deleverage what you would normally trade in your demo account. Okay, US yen. Big fall off. Look at this. It had this massive update of 200 pips, and in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, they've given back 500 pips almost. Pretty incredible. And this was the level that I was telling you guys to watch at, 110.29, or excuse me, 110.30, to see if we get a bounce here. We briefly kind of chopped around in here, and then the last 2 days last week, price fell right off. So this finally caught up to what the US dollar was doing. But all it wanted to do was obviously clear all these highs in here. All of these highs filled in that gap beautifully, ran up, and now we're trending lower. So as long as the US dollar continues to fall, then I believe we're going to see US yen go lower as well too. But this, again, was another pair that all throughout in here was very uncorrelated with what the US dollar is doing. And apart from this big downslide here, I don't really trust US yen. So just be careful of this one as well too. Okay, Australian dollar. So a big sell-off in Aussie from the highs coming all the way back into December. Look at that, December 31st. I didn't actually realize that until just now. I just learned something. December 31st, right there, was the high of Aussie before the big sell-off began. You think they planned that or what? So price now, we are 20, 40, 60, excuse me, we are just going into past 40 days. So I'm anticipating of the year so far, and I'm anticipating additional downside to Aussie. You can see you got to go all the way back on the monthly, and I've done this before, so this is nothing new, folks. You can see these lows under here. Looks like they want to be running down for these lows. So as long as we see continued upward momentum, now minus this little blip here on US dollar, it should add fuel to the fire for Aussie to run lower. And this pair is getting crushed right now. The Australian currency is definitely very, very weak compared to the US dollar. So I'm anticipating more downside. What changes that is if we run above this level right here. Get rid of this stuff. So if we run above here, then we can switch our focus to the upside and target up into this area here if we run above this candle. But I believe we've seen the high, and I think with all the Aussie news, I think we're probably going to go lower. But keep in mind, rate announcement going on Monday afternoon to evening, so I would definitely wait to trade the Aussie until after that news event has subsided. Okay? Crude oil. Forex is done. Going into crude oil quickly. Here's the big downslide on crude oil. I've got a mess up here. I'm just going to clean this chart up here for just give me 2 seconds, folks. Apologies. I thought I did this before. I missed one. I am human, folks. I do make mistakes. Okay, that's better. So my downward target on US dollar was 47.80, and I said potentially lower. You can see we got that last Thursday. Price smashed right into that low there and actually kept on going. It surprised me how low it actually went. And then we had more continuation on Friday's candle as well too. You can see price dipped right in there. So what do? So this level, we're done. We've achieved this goal here. Price did exactly what I said it was going to do, ran down it and then some. Now, where do we go from here? Well, if you look all the way back, look what we've got setting up here again. We've got more equal lows. A low here, relative equal low there, another exact low there, another low there, and we're coming into it again here. So very similar to what I mentioned up here in this price pattern, but now we're seeing some very, very big, quick extensions to the downside, aren't we? So, I think we're going to see some more continued movement. Look at this price structure right here as well, too. I pointed this out. Where does that take us? Right over here. Put 35 even on your charts, okay? If you guys are crude oil traders, put 35 even on your charts. I'm going to drag this out. That's an exact price swing. This price swing here could potentially match that exact price swing right there. We could really be dipping low on oil. Now, OPEC meetings, I believe it was Thursday. Keep that in mind. We're going to see price probably rally a little bit on the crude market to give back some of the decline that it just gave up this week. We're probably going to see price run all the way back up into the 49s, possibly basically right into these lows here. So I'm going to get rid of this guy here because this is all done. Get rid of that. So I think there's a very good chance we're going to see a little bit of a rally this week on crude. Price come up into here, and then we could see the next move down to the 35s. Now, there's some big OPEC meetings going on next month, so I think we're probably going to see another possibly 2 to 3 weeks downward momentum on oil before it finally turns the corner. Now, keep in mind, folks, they're blaming all of this on the coronavirus. You and I both know that's not the case. Well, at least I do anyway. If you don't know, send me a message and I'll enlighten you. I'll tell you exactly why they're going down and reaching for these levels here. But that's what they're blaming it all on. So the coronavirus is nowhere near solved. We're still getting into it, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And, coming to a theater near you type of thing. And so I think they've got all the reason they need to descend price right down to 35. And again, price is going to fall off. You think about all the manufacturing that's halted through China and throughout the world. All the goods and services, all the goods that aren't being provided and manufactured and shipping and everything else and demand for driving, it's all falling off right now, and it's going to keep falling, and it's going to take oil with it. OPEC's going to step into the market here eventually once, I believe their meetings are next month, early next month or end of this month. I'll have to double check on the exact date. I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. I just read it the other day. But they got some major meetings. They're going to come in and they're going to start cutting and hacking and slashing production. Coronavirus fears are going to start winding down, and eventually this whole hoopla is going to be behind us. We're going to get into the spring and back into the swing of the markets again, and crude oil, I believe, is going to see a massive run higher very, very quickly. But I think we're going to see 35s before it gets there. So that's my prediction. Let's wait and see if it happens. And this week here, like I was saying to you guys, I think we're going to move up higher to these lows here. Maybe not quite these lows. Price may only want to get down to maybe the low of this candle right here. So whatever that is on your charts from last week. So this is today, Friday, Thursday. This was Wednesday's low here. Watch that one as well too. And then I think we're going to see continuation to the downside. Now, finally, gold. Look at the sell-off on gold here. Gold was very, very bullish. Now, this is another market that is supposed to do the opposite of what US dollar is doing. As you can see, price fell off steeply as the US dollar was falling off very steeply as well. A quick reprice to the downside. What are they doing? They're just clearing levels so they can pick it up cheaper, so they can send this thing higher. Gold, I think, is going to move much, much higher in the next little while. And again, I don't have this chart here that goes back past a certain degree, but you can do that yourself, obviously. And I would just maybe get a chart of of gold that goes all the way back to pre-2000s, and you can see all the different levels on there. But we've definitely got some levels right here I'm watching. Now, we could see a bit of a run higher. As you can see, we opened up, we gapped up, price came down, filled that gap, and then rejected. And I think there's a good chance we're going to see price go all the way up to there, but I think we're probably going to fall off one more and possibly get underneath these lows here. Don't quote me on this because I don't know 100%. Markets are a little volatile right now. If we start trading above these levels here, then it's just going to be a continuation and we're getting long. But I think there's a chance that we could see price fall off possibly right in around this area here. So I'll just bring this down. That's kind of what I'm looking. It may not even get this high. Price could only run to about the 1613, call it 1615 level, somewhere in and around here. And that could be enough on the upside. But I think we're going to see one more leg down on gold. That's just my personal thoughts. If we get above that level there, just watch what it does. And then if we get above these two up candles on the daily here, we're going to go higher. And I would be able to easily target this guy right there. So very simple, guys. I hope that clarifies things for you and what I see for this week. It is NFP. Get all your trading Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in and done. And stop trading Thursday, Friday. Do not trade. There's lots of crazy stuff going on in the markets right now. Last week was a very volatile week. S&P and all that stuff fell off the map. So just be very careful. Lower your leverage significantly, folks. If you are trading live funds, lower them significantly. I'm not a professional or anything like that. Do not constitute any of my advice that I give you in here as live trading advice or anything like that. Everything that I show you in here is a demo, my thoughts only. And just keep in mind, I am not a licensed trading professional, so please do, if you are going to trade the markets, always consult a professional before you do so. So anyway, I hope that helps out. We'll catch up to you guys next Sunday, as always. And for all of our members, we'll talk to you in the chat room tomorrow. Thanks for watching, folks. And please, if you haven't already, check us out, f45trading.com. I got a new website coming soon as well, too. It was actually supposed to go live today. I'm having a trouble with the DNS. That's all the background stuff that I don't know anything about. It's giving me some grief. So I'm hoping to have that up and live this week, as long as I can get some answers back from the support. But if I can't, that's what I'm working on. And so I'll let you know, guys, know when that goes live. Lots of great stuff on there. And please go ahead and subscribe down here. Give my video a like. Go ahead and comment on it. Share it out to your friends. Do whatever you got to do. Show me some love. Would really appreciate that, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.